esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here. Yeah, okay, I do. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here in Kiev. It's time for game number 2, EG versus NaVi. Best of 3. NaVi looking good on home turf. They took game 1, and, well, they look to make it a 2-0 sweep. Underdogs coming in, but
yeah, I said 85% win chance for EG, but that was not accounting for the fact that NaVi was just going to show up with a different roster for this game. Yeah. I don't know. They just
who are these guys? They haven't been playing yet.
I don't know. That was they're playing a different version of Dota as well. It would seem that was just amazing to watch, honestly. And I think NaVi go into this game number 2 with so much confidence that they probably feel like they can get away with almost anything. So the challenge here is not getting in over your head and being like, okay, we're on a roll, still keeping it calm and collected and getting a solid draft. But I think the idea of just picking outside of the box, they continue with that for as long as it works.
Well, in game 1, the Wisp was a big part of their strategy. Sure, Havos got big, but that would not have happened without Vanscourt aside. And EG just go ahead and ban the hero. They immediately go in again to the Jakiro, this time with a Venomancer backing up after the NaVi first pick bat. Now, if you recall, that was banned first phase by EG last game. Funix done a lot of work on the hero historically, and it is out there now with no great bat solution picked up yet. Like, maybe you get that early Yule Scepter on the Jakiro, and at that point can deal with his jump in, but they've already picked 2 heroes. At least one of these, probably a support. I mean, I guess you could run a core Veno and Jakiro and just super Death Ball. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a very weird opener, to be honest.
And it was just so quick. Like, they just slammed down the Venomancer.
It gives a lot of information, and it's, like you said, probably, they could both be supports, they could both be cores, they could be one of each, which I guess is the good thing for EG here is that they're not showing that part of the hand, but they're definitely showing what their approach to the game is. You do not open with this unless you want to push towers early on. So the thing NaVi has got going for them against that is Batrider is a really good defensive hero. For the same kind of logic, as I said last game, why Pudge is good against pushing strats, Batrider kind of does the same thing, but the difference is he needs a Blink Dagger first, and maybe even a Force Staff, depending on the lineup he's up against. So,
ooh, the Lycan gets banned out.
He was banned last game too.
Actually. He's a hero we've talked on and off about. I think it was you feel he's underrated.
Yeah,
you were one. I think you were one of the people who said that.
I don't think he's amazing anymore, but I still think he's good in more games than he gets picked.
And it's something that EG have been pretty damn successful with historically. We've seen, I think Arteezy's played a decent amount. Fear is certainly capable of it as well. And with the Veno Jakiro, there is a potential to get run over, and NaVi are worried about just losing to push, whether it's split push or 5-man. So they ban a Lycan and a Dragon Knight. I think this is wise, honestly. EG have had a lot of success with that type of strategy.
Does, however, mean that there's the potential of picking a defensive support for PPD. And I would be very surprised if the Veno and Jakiro are support, so there's still that support pick remaining. It could be an Abaddon, it could be an Omni Knight, it could be the Treant. I think Treant is pretty garbage against Batrider and Skywrath, so it would be a bad pick flat out for me.
Abaddon could be pretty good.
And speaking of pushing heroes, you know what? They got Death Prophet as a 3rd pick.
Hey, that's
with this opener. That's, well, I guess NaVi had to make a choice, right? They went for the Dragon Knight and the Lycan, which would have probably been more scary together with the Abaddon. And they have 2 heroes already that are very good against Necrophos, so maybe that's not scary.
3rd pick now for NaVi. They have good gank, good pick off. No, not too much deep push though. Just the Firefly, which is okay, but doesn't really take the Death Prophet off towers. Doesn't kill the Veno wards, and that's my one issue for NaVi is EG can take some safe tower damage every time they walk in. Just get a Liquid Fire off, drop down a Plague Ward or 2. It's not like they have to commit heroes onto those buildings. Do NaVi need more counter push? And if so, what do you go for? There's a Void out there if they wanted to run like a mid-Batrider. Get another setup for the Skywrath. Ancient Apparition was banned, which strongly suggests that EG want to try and take these towers early.
And that they maybe want What do they want? Either they want to
Could they run like a Necrophos this game?
I'm thinking they could pull out the Arteezy Well, no, Fear doesn't play Death Prophet at all, right? It's always Arteezy.
It's always been Arteezy.
Because I was thinking the Shadow Fiend Omni-Knight could actually be pulled out for this game from Evil Geniuses, but... well, with that AA ban, it's of course to be able to... You see, the thing about this Evil Geniuses push strategy that's different from some other pushing strategies, at least, is that it's so heavily based on things that... how to explain it? It's not minion-based. Yeah. So they have the Ultimate of Death Prophet, the Plague Wards, and the Liquid Fire, like you pointed out. So the only way NaVi can defend against this is Wave Clear actually doesn't really work against this kind of push threat. You have to stop the heroes.
You have to discourage them from walking near the tower.
Yeah. And Acid Spray, I think, is a very wise decision here from NaVi. I believe this will probably be played either as a core by Dendy or as a support, most likely by FNG. Even offlane for Funny is an option, but he will more than likely play that Bat Rider. So
I'm kind of leaning towards a support Alchemist. It's a slightly greedier support, but EG are fairly passive in their early laning stage, so I think you could get away with that. If it's a core Alch, it's laning against what, a Death Prophet? It's going to have a tough time, and they go for the Vankscore Silencer. It's a great setup for these Bat Rider initiations. Kind of reminds me a bit of how Empire used to play with Vankscore on the team, where there was a while where they went for Doom, Storm, and Silencer like 5-6 games in a row. I remember casting it. You global, you zip in with the Storm, you jump in with the Doom, and you just find 2-3 pickoffs. It's not quite the same draft with NaVi, but the Bat Rider sort of fits in a similar way, and it dissuades you from walking up to the tower if global's ready because you know you could get jumped.
NaVi's draft does, however, have one weakness, and that is they're pretty poor against BKBs. And I think for EG in this game, the call is they will want to get Ewells and then BKB on the Death Prophet. Because the way they will open on Arteezy is to try to blink lasso him. So if he's ready for the BKB and gets that counterplay off, the fact that they global out the Abaddon doesn't matter if they don't have physical damage to kill off the Death Prophet during the global. And right now they don't. Like, this Alchemist needs to be played as a core and he needs good farm. The single target physical damage is abysmal for NaVi right now. So either they need to solve that with their last pick, or they need to play around the fact that Evil Geniuses can play the strat. And in addition to that, the Silencer is not good against this lineup until he's level 6. And EG could look to push towers at like minute 4 with these kind of heroes. Especially with the Jakiro, if played as a core, things can fall fast for NaVi. So they need to be able to defend early. It doesn't help that they get their lineup online at 12 minutes in if they've lost 4 or 5 towers at that point. They will ban the Necrophos, though.
It actually could be a Havos Silencer as well. He doesn't play it that often. He's got, let's see, what, 5 games since... 6 games ever, and 5 of them in like the past 3 months, and none since the beginning of October. So
it's pretty weak as a core here, though.
Yeah.
I think. I'd be surprised if it's what NaVi are thinking, but I mean, we got really surprised last game too, so let's not count out the chance of them just doing something wonky here.
Yeah, Vankscore just excels on that hero as a support as well. So, I mean, in fact, he was the player that I think kind of pioneered the hero back into competitive play. So Necrophos now removed from NaVi. I mentioned this earlier. I think Necrophos is pretty scary here with the Ancient Apparition ban. The heals from the Abaddon plus Necro, it kind of reaches critical mass. And I think EG are on to what I was talking about. They ban out the Storm, which, as I mentioned, I think synergizes really nicely with the Silencer. You get 2 jumpers, you global, and you just start picking heroes off. And at the same time, although NaVi are not... They don't really have much on BKBs as far as actual damage output goes. Neither do EG. So you get a BKB on the Bat, you get a BKB on, well, I guess no Storm, but maybe they try to squeeze something else in that can be that type of initiator. Like can they fit in a Void? Is that too greedy?
Well, for me right now, for NaVi, if this game goes late, I think they're in a really good position. This is about surviving the first 40 minutes.
So what do you pick here to survive, would you say?
It's a tough call. I think... What more defensive stuff could they get to prevent the push? Is it too greedy to, after all, run the Silencer as a core and then get an Enigma? And then they have Midnight Pulse as well. It's just like 2 things, Acid Spray and Midnight Pulse on top of each other is absolutely insanely powerful. Like, you can't run into that with heroes. You lose, like, I don't know, 7 or 8% of your health per second in that?
Yeah, at certain stages of the game anyway. It's insane.
That is an option for NaVi. I don't know if they're going to go for it here because I feel like it's pretty risky. So if they don't go for that, if they don't try to hold the towers like that, I'd say get some really heavy single target, be able to kill a Death Prophet. I'm thinking might not even be that far-fetched to go for something like a PA, but again, the risk is they need to get to that point where the single target carry can actually kill heroes off.
Ooh.
Or you just pick someone who has incredible burst from minute 6.
All right, so it is the Havo Silencer, and it is the support Alk, and it will be a Dendi Zeus. All right.
I think this is very, very bold by NaVi. It's an all-or-nothing kind of pick where if they fall behind, I think it's almost impossible for them to come back in the game. So those fights early have to click. But if they get the burst off during the global, and this is one more thing which I want to point out. If they global, Dendi can play unusually aggressive on the Zeus. Because static field is, of course, the most potent when you're in the middle of the fight. So if you global and you get a blink dagger on the Zeus, you can actually just blink into 5 heroes and just start fighting them. Be on top of them and take the fight.
That might be slightly overstated. If there's an exorcism going or wards out,
sure, if they have their abilities up already, and if they have placed them and have them running. And okay, I'm not saying
there is a world where that could happen.
Yeah, I'm not saying literally blink into the middle of the 5 heroes, but blink into the proximity, so you start dealing with static field damage. And I mean, again, NaVi just thinking completely outside the box here. This is the first pick of 3 of these heroes in the tournament. Zeus, Silencer, and Alchemist have not been picked yet in the last 2 days, and they just brought 5 new picks into the tournament in 2 games.
Well, Flat looking good there on the Russian stream.
Thank you, production.
I was working on our screen before. Are we coming back to this or not? All right, I guess we're going with Flat for now. We'll try to run through the rosters here as Dendi is running in place. Okay, now he's fixed. And we might have an early clash. Havost and FNG towards the top lane. And 5 hero rotation from EG. They might even dive this. No, they're going to rotate down. And I guess we'll run through our rosters. Arteezy going to be playing your Death Prophet. PPD on his Abaddon. Fear handling that Venomancer. It puts Universe onto the Jakiro. And Zai handling the Wraith King. Meanwhile for NaVi, it's a Dendi Zeus. It's a Havost Silencer. Alchemist and Skywrath handled by FNG and Vangscore. And that leaves the Batrider. Your Funnick signature as the linchpin of this draft.
Yeah, hopefully you regain.
Are we back now?
Control.
Okay,
nice.
We're back.
Okay, here we go.
Sweet.
It's weird. I don't know how this is happening so often, but it's a little bit strange. Well, regardless,
the video switcher has a mind of its own, apparently.
The lanes are shaping up, and as a matter of fact, it will be both a core Veno and a Jakiro, which we talked about was a possibility, not necessarily that likely, but EG are all in on this. They want to push really early, and this is one of those games for me where I feel like the majority of the story will be played out in the first 20 minutes, because should NaVi be able to play evenly, the late game potential of EG's lineup I feel like is pretty weak.
They do have Death Prophet Wraith. Wraith King can be scary if he gets super stacked.
True, it is Zai. And I believe Zai, no kidding, I think he's 14-0 on this game, on this hero in competitive play. I think I saw it earlier today. 100% win rate, 40 in games. So, with that in mind, EG should statistically just win the game based on that. But
why don't we just go to game 3? Like, we're wasting our time here. It's late.
It might be the most impressive win streak for any player with any hero.
That is a crazy
ever.
number.
Like, if it is true, I didn't check it after that, but it was part of the Starladder stats, I believe. 14-0 is absurd.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's won the majority of his games, and he's kind of found like those little tweaks that make Wraith King scary. I remember I forget how long ago it was, but there was a game where he was about to die, and for so long it was just, okay, you run Wraith King, just skill your ult at level 6. And he didn't skill it because he knew he was going to die anyway, and that ult has a 4-minute cooldown early on, and a little bit longer. I think it's, 260 seconds total, I believe is the number. And then he had it for the next fight, so it's those little touches that really make a hero your signature. But with that said, let's kind of walk through our lanes here, Sin. The off-lane Jakiro of Universe has been forced into the jungle. He's working together with PPD for this. Arteezy gets incredibly aggressive in the mid lane. He did spot an invis picked up earlier by the Skywrath, tried to make a play mid, didn't happen. Funnick has also abandoned his offlane, but he's jungling quickly. Hits level 2 already, works towards level 3, whereas the Jakiro of Universe not even level 2 yet, already 2 minutes in. Zai also roaming, so the early experience seems to be going the way of NaVi, and they're going to have a little skirmish here in the river. Regen picked up by PPD. Funny gonna jump onto him. They're actually going for this?
This is very aggressive.
No,
He
not any further.
Doesn't even have Firefly ready. There was some turnaround potential there from EG if they could pick up on that. But Universe is level 1 with liquid fire only, so actually never mind. They have no way of slowing him down. So,
but they are free farming their silencer, and that's the trade for a Veno. So looking at like the overall trades, mid farm fairly even early on. Slight lead for Arteezy as you'd expect. Both offlaners in the woods, a little more for the bat, and a silencer's farm traded for Veno. How do you feel about these exchanges overall?
For me, it favors EG because the timing window of the heroes is just better having early farm on Fear. It's why I was a little bit hesitant for NaVi to put the silencer in the core position here, because I feel like the point when he's going to peak, it's either going to be, or well, it's probably, if he gets free farm, his peak, I don't know what we could say that is. It's a little bit of a tricky hero to call in that sense, but he'll probably go Axe Refresher. And the point you have that is not before 25 to 30 minutes into the game if you have extreme farm even. And that's about the time that EG will have looked to take the tower. So until then, his main purpose is to use Global Silence. And they could have got that out of a support silencer too.
Top lane, Universe dropping low to Havost here. Continues to throw out those glaives. Sorry, not glaives, just the auto attacks. But he's gone for the level 2 curse, as well as the level 2 last word. A lot of nuke damage for him early on. And he put a real hurt in the Universe. If that Abaddon's not there, that's probably your first blood picked up solo by Havost. And this is only an early laning silencer. He can dish out the damage later. So, Fear farming well towards the... I imagine we'll see him rush the mech. Probably
yeah,
Arteezy.
So
yeah, towards the drums, the phase, and the Yule Scepter. So the standard items. It's just, do they get them quickly and do they avoid collateral damage along the way? Like Zeus pickoffs, Global Silences, and Alchemist smoke ganks. Can they dodge those bullets while they kind of gear up for war? So far, so good.
Yeah, that's another thing that Navi's lineup are... Well, it's actually fairly decent, to be honest, at ganking if they run it like this. But they've chosen to put FNG in the offlane and put Batrider in the jungle. And when you do that, the Alchemist Skywrath combination is actually pretty potent for ganks, but they're not running it that way. So because of that, EG are farming very safely. They know exactly where all the Navi heroes are right now. Even the ones that are off the map, it's completely obvious what's going on. So EG can just plan around it, whereas on the flip side for Navi, they don't know exactly what EG are doing. In the bot lane, Zai is showing right now, though, so this makes it clear. But he has a smoke on him. He's now going to go into the jungle, and this does give kill potential either in the mid lane or maybe even the full rotation.
He's going to TP mid.
Yeah.
And he looks for the kill on Denny, but Denny sits pretty far back in this lane. Zai will really have to charge in. It is nighttime now, so the vision's a bit restricted. But FNG's in the neighborhood. Will Zai go for that smoke? They do. No dire vision of this. Where do they go? Towards the top lane. Haste from Pomp by Arteezy. No more runes will be spawning for 50
they're
seconds.
Looking for the Batrider. They see him with the ward.
They will find Funnick. Oh, man. Oh, that's costly. Nice pickoff for Arteezy to start it. But the turn potentially coming here on Universe, dropping low to some nukes. Not quite able to finish him off. And they rotate onto top. Arteezy has Exorcism.
I don't think
they're not done
just coming. He's not expecting them to come even further here.
And if they get a Wraith King stun, then he's pretty much dead. Great reaction from
what an
the
ice
silence.
path.
But the Ice Pass still comes in. Thankscore was quick, but EG just had too many heroes. And they're able to get 2 kills off of that rotation early. And they slow down the Bat Blink, and he is their only initiation right now. So, well, will be their only initiation.
Yeah.
Not ready yet.
This is the absolutely worst scenario for Navi early on. They are very predictable in their movement right now. The call to give FNG levels, I think, is a pretty good one, but it comes at the cost of...
Dendy just turns around on Arteezy mid lane. He got backstep by Zai, and he just throws out a lightning bolt. Then he walks up to the high ground. He will die. It's an exorcism used, but they get a kill on a mid, so well worth it for them. And they may even push in this mid lane a little bit, do some chip damage towards the tower. Everything going well. They're fighting without fear. He's free farming bottom now. And what started off as an even game is now a 1,200 gold lead for EG. Not overwhelming. And about 1,000 experience lead. But they do get their Midas at a decent time for Havost.
But that's just, again, it's for the Axe Refresher, that build will come earlier than if he didn't have the Midas, but it delays his overall impact in the next 10 minutes. And once again, that's just where EG are looking to take off. Fear is now going to get the bottom tier 1 tower. Universe has joined them. He has level 3 Liquid Fire right now. Zai is hanging off to the side. NaVi are in a lot more trouble than the graphs suggest right now. I think this is a very scary early game where I'm not seeing the solution yet.
They are definitely going to lose more ground. If it's going to get better, it won't be for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes at the least, probably. Maybe they get a Batrider pick or two, but even if EG give up those kills, they can still take towers. It's nearly guaranteed that they will. As NaVi smoke, but I believe they did it under cover of a Radiant Observer Ward. And already Zai's retreating out. PPD there to join him. They look for their jump in. They're going to stun.
He's going to self-stun. He might die here.
Zai does give himself up in terms of vision, but FNG didn't turn in time. Now caught by an ice pad. That actually onto 3.
Suck.
Oh, man. He did most of the work for EG, and then
they're even getting Funnick.
Funnick dies as well. PPD will shield himself. He may drop to the tower here. Even with the stick charges, PPD takes a bruising, but well worth it. 5-1, and it's almost a core Alchemist since he's been just sitting off.
And you're absolutely right. This Observer right here, value from EG, giving them 2-for-1 trade, almost getting them the tier 2 tower secured. Zai's going to hit level 6 as a result of it. And we're looking at a 9-minute game, or 8 minutes, sorry, where EG are approaching their first peak of the lineup. Universe is getting close to level 7. He's currently level 6 with a point in Macropyre. Fear's level 7, that's the level 4 Plague Wards. Arteezy now has 4 points in Witchcraft as well as the Exorcism. And at the same time, PPD, he is not too far off of his level 6, which means NaVi can't just focus him down anymore. The entirety of EG's lineup is just coming together. The strategy here is almost flawless execution so far.
Yeah, and the overall game plan for NaVi is they just want to burst heroes down during global, right? But if EG get off to an early start, they get tanky, and finding more than 1 or 2 kills becomes very difficult. It's that, you know, unstoppable force versus immovable object kind of arms race, and right now the unstoppable force is way ahead. Or I guess they'd be the immovable object in that analogy. Either way, they're way ahead. Hey, man, what can I say? I'm trying.
Something else.
I'm trying. Okay. That's fair.
Well, we're going to see EG probably continuing the push here. They're rotating up toward the top lane. Zai doing the classic thing that I believe PPD actually introduced to be common in competitive Dota 2, which is not skilling the reincarnation when you're level 6, but waiting to see whether it's useful first. So if you just want to die, you just die.
I did mention that earlier.
You did?
Yeah. Went on a little soliloquy about it. We are just not, we do not have the teamwork that NaVi and EG have shown in this series, but they find Arteezy. Oh, this could be big. Global wasn't used yet, though. And now the Global used by the Zeus and by the Silencer. Kill secured. Needed as well.
Yeah.
PPD was about to shield, heal, and turn that.
Perfect timing on the Global here from Quost. And I think it's worth it. Even though it's only 1 kill here, they delay the push quite a bit here by taking out the Death Prophet. Alchemist is in position to defend as well.
That was a haste Arteezy.
They buy themselves a couple of minutes every time they manage to pull something like that off.
And, you know, it's easy for him to just get cocky with the start they've had. He ran up the river. He could have played it safe and ran around. Of course, you can't count on NaVi being there, and he was real close to his team, but that's what NaVi need. Just a few more pickoffs. That's where the Zeus can come online. Jesus, Dendy is poor as hell. Does he not have boots yet? Oh, no, sorry, he has arcane boots.
So, yeah.
I'm actually drunk.
Yeah.
They're going on Fear bottom lane.
I think he's going
gets
to
off
get
the
out
flame
of this.
break.
Oh, never mind.
In
That's
trouble. They've got another lightning bolt. Should be almost enough. Get it. Kill secured. They'll bring down the Venomancer, and at the same time, EG pushing top. PPD, Zai, and Universe working on the tier 1 here, and it will fall. Last slice goes to Zai. He gets closer to that.
And you
Blink
called
dagger.
that drum, which Arteezy does get it sometimes, but it's not that common anymore. A lot of Death Prophets just choose to rush the Yules, but
I think he bought it after that death, or maybe when he's about to die. Like, he started with just the Null Talisman Bracer. Sometimes we just see the casual Bracer and, like, do I need to upgrade it? Well, I guess after that death, he felt he did.
Oh yeah, this is a scary combo. I don't know if you mentioned that yet, but Ancient Seal together with Zeus is...
No, I haven't mentioned.
Absolutely crazy. They do have a hood on Fear already, though, so he's not the easiest target in the world. I don't know who they're getting the mech on, though.
FNG is going to stun himself again. Zai's charging in on the back of this. He has the ult ready to go. Man, look at the mono burn. Just ruining him. They Zeus ult. They pop him. PPD couldn't get the heal off in time. That silencer play. Really nice work from NaVi. Meanwhile, Funnick's on the run, though. He's being pursued out by Fear, and he gets lashed down by the angry Abaddon. Miscoil securing that kill. Still, I feel like NaVi are finding just enough pickoffs that EG should not be feeling comfortable.
I agree. These last few minutes have been looking okay for NaVi, but The fact still remains they're losing ground and they're not gaining any. They're trading kills for towers, which is generally not a good sign unless you trade like 3 kills for each tower or something like that, which has definitely not been the case. They're even behind on kills in addition to 3 towers. So, and the more worrying thing for Navi is the itemization that EG can go for here will make it almost impossible. It's going to be like this timing window of 5 minutes where I think Navi are going to be struggling to take a fight. That moment comes when the Euls is done in Universe, the Pipe is done in Venomancer, and maybe even a mech finish on the third hero.
Look for the burst damage mid lane. Mystic Flare almost gets that kill. Not quite. If Dendi had his ult, that's a freebie. But Zai instead gets some beautiful body blocks out there, forced to global. Couldn't get another Thunderbolt out onto Arteezy. He was close to being caught, and now they find the Ice Path Fall. They've committed a global, and they still lose Dendi after that.
At the same time, bottom lane, who's finding who? Well, they're finding each other, and nobody wants to fight, so... Well, that's kind of boring.
Loud noises, but nothing happening.
Oh, this bottom tier 2 is not long for life. There's going to Gale on Funnick here. Good harassment from Fear. This tier 2 is still not in deny range. Fear looks like he's trying to avoid attacking it. Look at him holding position on those wards. Just keeping it. They're going to attack each other.
Even the wards are rebelling. You and I are fighting against each other, now the wards are.
The world is coming to an end.
Nobody's in sync. And let's see if the players can at least be and bail this out. They'll continue to push. And this pipe for Fear should be huge. I mean, you mentioned the timing window, and that, to me, is probably the biggest part of it. They'll stun FNG bottom lane. They don't actually, well, they do Gale him, but I don't know if they really want to go on him. It's more about zoning. Dendi looks to turn this, though. He's got his ultimate online, but they don't have the global silence of the silencer, who TP'd in on top of the tower. Havos cannot do that. He is not that 30k net worth gyrocopter from last game. As the stun for FNG is thrown out, Zai will drop again. Never having mana for his ultimate this game. Bank score dropping low to goes not finished off. That's another kill for the Zeus of Dendi. His wrath knows no limits as he holds EG off. Unnecessary collateral damage. This Curse of the Silent Max is really ruining Zai. That is 2 deaths now where he didn't even get off Reincarnation.
He was looking at his mana pool with Intreads, and he had more than enough, so he switched to Strength just to tank a little bit more.
He's bought a Soul Ring. I hate the Silencer so much right now, Soul Ring.
But that Soul Ring is not even a guarantee with the new mana cost and Reincarnation. It's 160, so if you're down to 0 on your Soul Ring, you still don't have the mana. Then you need to Soul Ring and Tread Switch, and then maybe you can pull it off. But it's not that easy in the heat of the moment to do everything at once like this. And
if you're not sitting on
difficult already so far.
Yeah, and if you're not sitting on Strength Treads, then you're squishier, right? So there's a better chance you die when you Soul Ring immediately. They did lasso. At the same time, there's a smoke gang towards top lane, but Fear gets caught out. He's the pipe carrier. Didn't even get to use it. Well, now he did. Still, they chased him down with 1 or 2 more auto attacks. He'd be dead, but PPD's here. Oh, he's a bit too late. And while that was happening, they did lose Havost. A 1-for-1, apparently favoring EG by a decent margin. So Vost is pretty damn farmed.
The Yules.
Now the Macro Pile laying it all down for FNG, and he does not in Chemical Rage anymore. That Alchemist not long for this world. Will end up dropping.
And it still feels like with every minute EG are gaining more. Navi are getting some decent trades, but once again, no ground being claimed by them. EG are now effectively farming inside the Dire jungle with Arteezy. That's how much confidence they can play with right now. They went for the pick-off on Kvost, and then he took over his jungle. And you're just looking at a point in the game now where, with the pipe available on Fear, they can group up 5 heroes and just start taking 1 tower after the other, which there's not that many left already, but how on earth will Navi take this team fight? It's almost impossible.
I think EG just have to overextend, which they did do bottom. Like, they dove in too far, gave up. The Zai kill was more just not having mana, but the other kill, that was an avoidable one, as Dendi got the trade there with his Thunderbolt on the overextension. The other thing, Sind, is I just feel like EG haven't even played this strategy nearly as polished as what they're capable of, and still they're continuing to just mow down towers. If they execute it flawlessly, and they've got more margin for error now with the pipe, the double Yules that you were talking about as the timing, then there's like almost no chance Navi can burst them down.
And now Fear is going to work on a neck. And that's at that point, it's just... I don't
too
want to
much
say
heal
impossible.
and sustain.
I'm not going to say impossible. I'm going to say for Navi to come back at that point, they're going to need Axe and Refresh on Kvost to win the team fights. Axe is not going to be enough. They will tank through it. Even Dendi with a lot of AoE damage, the pipe can do a lot of work, and then you add on the mech to that, Abaddon with a couple of heals and shields. And even Arteezy, when the Global Silence comes out, he can just Yules himself and not take any of the damage and just turn it around on Navi, so they kind of have to lasso him even.
Yeah, so they definitely need the double global. Maybe 1 global is enough to get like 1 or 2 pickoffs, but it's definitely not enough to win a convincing team fight. And at that point with Global down, EG can buy back or even just wait for respawns and then really go for the fight. So I'm with you that they'll need the double. But double Global is a pretty long way off. Unless Navi takes a big fight, we're looking at what, like 26 to 28 minutes most likely, at least?
Yeah, at least.
He is close to the first, though.
The Axe is up in 50 gold, so he will have that for the next team fight, which does make quite a difference. It means he can apply 2 curses at once, of course, which, if landed properly, will deal a lot of damage, but more importantly, drain a hero like the Wraith King and the Abaddon. Abaddon's mana pool is not that good right now. PPD went for the Tranquils, the Urn, and the Magic Wand, so he has the 15-1 charges, but in addition to that, no real mana bank.
EG, are they close to anything else? The mech is very close for Fear, and he's the linchpin of their strategy right now. Having one hero that carries a pipe and a mech, man, if you can burst him down, that is a game changer. But he has reinforcements. He's got the Yule Scepters on his team, and most importantly, the Abaddon. It just puts a lot of pressure on Avos to at least use that first global at the right time to disrupt the fights a little bit. Arteezy's gone in now, though. Yule Scepter to start. Now the silence to follow. Found Havost and can't even get off a global. Will end up melting to the Exorcism. And now the chase on the Vank score. NaVi just getting isolated and pulled apart by EG as they will rotate back towards mid and look for a tier 2. The final outer tower in danger of falling at 18 minutes. They forced out a 9-minute GG from NaVi in their opening game at WEC in that playoff match. And 19 minutes in, Sin, they are, it's not an 8-minute, 9-minute GG, but it's a pretty damn one-sided game to date. A convincing comeback from EG after that game 1 loss, should they push it through to a win, which right now it looks to be pretty heavily slated towards them.
Zai looking for an opening here on Funnick will not find it. But they got what they came for. They got 2 kills in a tier 2 tower for no trade-off. Arteezy's already in the bottom lane now farming up and going for the exact item build I was imagining, maybe apart from the optional drum he got on the way. It's Yules into BKB, and that's perhaps what EG are waiting for before they want to go tier 3s. That and an Aegis on their team. It's going to be difficult. But I've seen games where Silencer with Axe Refresher just all of a sudden makes your team like twice or 3 times as strong. So should Navi get to that point, I actually think they have a really good chance. So if I'm EG now, I don't relax too much. I want to take more objectives, tier 3s, get Roshan, and eventually some barracks because they can't really rest now.
That's an awkward place to blink in because Fear and PPD were on his trail. Courier's going to walk right by him. He got Galed from the high ground, then earned. He might tick down the poison damage. He'll be damn close to it. And he doesn't have a teleport scroll. If they saw this, they'll continue pursuit. And they are trying to.
They have Zai on the hunt.
The poison's not, he's not going to have a blink dagger in time.
Oh, wait.
Jukes in the trees, and 1 stun will kill him.
Oh!
How does he not see him yet? Then he manages to blink.
God.
Unbelievable still. He needs to deny himself to neutrals, and PPD's just waiting to end his life with a nuke.
That was legit, though. He bought so much time there.
I really thought Zai would have vision. There was just like the tiniest bit of fog that he kept on playing around with. At the same time, they look for a kill on bottom lane universe. I think it's our first Alchemist stun of the game, honestly. At least it feels that way.
More self-stuns. Very few.
Yeah. More self-stuns than actual stuns. Yeah, he did buy his Blink Dagger before dying Universe. So still a nice pickup for him.
And this is just as comfort zone as it gets for EG, I think. This draft, their position in the game, they now have the mech and pipe finished for Fear. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for a Rax push on sub 25. They'll still probably claim the Aegis first if they can get away with it, but if there's no opportunity to do that, they might just start pushing for the base. Arteezy with the good timing on BKB. And speaking of Arteezy, FNG with what reminds me of an Arteezy Midas in a specific
on the
Alchemist
same
game.
Hero on the same side of the map.
In the same kind of scenario.
Position. Yeah. Oh man, I think this is a game-losing Midas.
The funny thing is, if Navi wins, it's kind of a
real slap in the face.
Really a slap in the face to Arteezy, so that would be kind of fun, but it's not looking good for them.
Can they win this without that Midas? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it matters. If that's a Blink Dagger, does that change things? Probably not. But EG are just going to go right for the Roche now.
Yeah.
Don't even know if they've seen the Midas. I don't think they care what FNG's items are. They're focused on their game plan, which is you have your mech, you have your pipe, you get Aegis, and then you just go either down mid, down bottom lane, certainly for Lane of Rax right from here. You have everything you need and more. BKB is now out on Arteezy, so that particular need has been met. They have the blink on Zai. there's just nothing to wait for. All these items are designed to win the game in the next 5 minutes.
Is Funnick going to try for this?
Can
I think he will.
Funnick disrupt their strategy? No.
His Plague Wards are bothering him.
Yeah, couldn't blink in. Would have been very risky. And actually, it's Universe who does blink in.
It's going to be the old man getting the Aegis.
Considering how much he has, I think that's the right choice. Pipe and mech. And he also doesn't have a BKB, although, I mean, to be fair, he's very durable. But I don't think Arteezy needs it this
I think it's just go time. They see one hero around the middle lane, which is Vanscore, and they see FNG in the top lane. The Acid Spray is not in position, so EG getting a head start on this fight they should have never had, and there's no glyph. This is a lane of racks right here. They're too late. Now they're too late.
And you can't, it's not like you can really split push. They're trying to with a Skyrath Mage, who did bring down a tier 1, but a tier 1 for a lane of racks doesn't seem good enough. As they nearly finish off Vanscore, the Ghost will complete that kill along with a final parting auto attack. Curse of the Sun onto Arteezy, but he gets shielded. I'll take some damage here. It's just a clean take. Melee down, range still alive for now. You wait for Exorcism Sin, you go again, and you have one more take left in you before this Aegis expires. Well, you'll be losing around the time you go for the third push.
To me, that right there was the fight NaVi had to try to take, and they didn't do it. And now it's going to be too late. Vost is working on the Refresher, which is the potential saving grace, but it's still too far off. It's about 4,000 gold away. He does not have the time to get that. That's going to take him 8 minutes at least, I would say. Probably his GPM right now is probably not way... No, it's not even 500. So 8 minutes, realistically, until that orb is up. They can't wait for that.
EG aren't even waiting for Exorcism. They're just going top right now. They might need it to kill a tower quickly.
And it's going to be level 3 the next time. That was a level 2 Exorcism, mind you. He's going to have the 9 extra spirits on the next one.
A lot of bonus
NaVi are doing
damage.
what they can. They're going to get at least a tier 1 here, which is some good gold in the bank. Vost gets the last hit, which is very important in this situation in the game.
But that clock is ticking.
It really is.
If Havost had 3 more minutes, he'd probably have his Refresher, maybe 5. But EG don't want to give him those precious few minutes. With this Aegis, they look to just flat out win the game. I think if you're NaVi Sin, you just spend every bit of gold you have. If you can't win this fight with the first global, you're just not winning it.
I would agree. I would say Dendi should even sell his Magic Wand now and buy that Veil, because that's perhaps one chance they haven't used that yet that could make a big difference. It will perhaps allow them to burst through the pipe even if they get all their abilities off. Or should they lasso the Veno and then get the Global Silence off at the same time and then they Veil? So there's double Curse of the Silent with the extra mana magic amplification together with Skyrath Ult and the Ancient Seal and all of Zeus's damage. Like, the lineup for NaVi is pretty beautifully...
Well, they get initiated on, so hold that thought. It's Havost, gets scaled. He may have to global at the wrong time.
Oh, no,
he's dead. Now the lasso, it's too late. He bumped back a global immediately. Zeus ult does good work, but Arteezy manages to BKB. He was damn close to death. Fear kept alive, will end up falling. He's the Aegis carrier. Didn't pipe, didn't mech. I think lost all his mana to the double curse, but now he comes back with everything. He is way behind enemy lines, though. Pipes, the Alk stun flies through. That drops him low. They'll get the Fear kill. That's actually pretty damn decent for them. The rest of EG may be forced back. I don't know if it's good enough, but it was 3 heroes dead and a buyback on Havost. But hey, they kill Fear without him ever... He got a pipe off right before he died, but without using the pipe when he wanted to, without popping the mech. Good, but maybe not good enough.
I think NaVi got pretty much the perfect fight there. They buy back the Silencer, so he takes the initial blow and has the buyback and the global. They get amazing damage off from Dendi, who was completely... He had free reign for the entirety of the fight, and they still lost that fight 1-3 and had to buy back.
Uh-oh, FNG might stun himself here. He just walks back, and fortunately the reinforcements march in. Dendi's there with the little Zeus with the big bolts. Unable to find another Thunderbolt, though.
And EG is just sticking around here.
The
pretty confident.
Well, the problem is as well for... They know Global's down, but even if NaVi somehow hold this, the Refresher has been delayed a lot by that buyback send. And that is still the linchpin of their strategy. I don't even know if Refresher is a guaranteed win anyway, because Arteezy alone probably can get to a Rax and just suicide to get it. And it's not like NaVi instantly base race you. They don't have a tiny whiz. They don't have much push. They still have to go through tier 1s and one tier 1 and multiple tier 2s. And he's got BKB Yule, so he can remove both of those ultimates.
And arguably the biggest weakness of NaVi's lineup against this strategy is should they hold, should they get to the mid-late game, they have no physical damage carry unless if FNG gets extremely big. So Arteezy in that BKB, I mean, 2 global silences are amazing, but you don't care if you're magic immune. You don't take the damage.
And you can just Yules off the other.
Yeah. He has all the solutions right now to all the things Navi has. So it's just a matter of gathering up and finishing the barracks top. I don't think Navi can hold it again.
Navi are determined to skirmish. There are not many teams that would go this far out of their base, having used a buyback on Silencer, and only, I guess just now he got global. So at least he would have that for the fight. Their lineup is not the kind of lineup that teams would generally just be running out of the base and looking to pick a fight with. Like, normally that lineup, you're really biding your time for a perfect jump, but they also know if EG get to the high ground with Exorcism, it probably doesn't matter if they get 4 or 5 kills. They're still losing a second lane of Rax.
Yeah.
Glyph is
and
up,
it's happening now. He even buys a cloak on Arteezy just in case he doesn't get the BKB off. He blocks some more magic damage, or after the BKB expires.
Oh,
okay,
what a Yule! So quick. I'm not sure whose that was. I think it was Universe's as the Bat Rider jumped in. Funnick is forced off the fight. Havos wound up dropping. No buyback this time around. And the Ghosts continue pounding into Vankscore. Arteezy's running them down, looking to make this a 1-1 tie and force a deciding Game 3. GG! Navi, they had the flashy Game 1 victory, but EG had the solid Game 2 comeback. And this one goes the distance as Zai gets pulled towards the fountain. No D-push, double Midas. They just couldn't fight when they needed to.
No, they did. I really liked the idea of the Navi draft, and you could see what they were thinking. But once again, they lost too much in the 15 minutes to really show the full potential of the lineup. There was a glimpse of it when you saw the top fight where they almost managed to actually turn, and they did hold, like you said, but then EG just went in again. If that fight happens 5 minutes earlier, Navi might team wipe them, and we have a different game on our hands. But the gold discrepancy was too big. EG got everything they came for. They got all the towers very early, and they got the key items. That's the really big difference is the pipe, the mech, and the BKB on Arteezy. That's everything they need to end the game.
I feel like Navi should have seen this coming because it was a first
really
pick
should.
Veno Chikiro. They even banned out heroes that showed that they knew what was coming. They banned Lycan, and they banned, I think, the bigger one, Dragon Knight. They knew. But
and then they gave DP.
I think they underestimated just how hard it would be to stop a little bit. And the Zeus pick didn't really pan out too much. The Silencer Zeus duo in particular. You're running 2 cores that have no D-push, can't really force a team fight, maybe global, but you global into what? Into Lasso?
Yeah.
They didn't have that great follow-up. And, well, in the end, guys, it goes the distance. EG striking back in Game 2. Can Navi take the 2-1 victory, or will EG knock them down to the lower bracket? For those answers, you'll have to stick around just a bit longer. It's well past midnight here in Kiev, but we keep the midnight oil burning. We return after this. You're watching Starladder Season 10, brought to you by Beyond the Summit. We'll be right back.